The strange thing about life-changing moments is that they often start with something small. For Alex Morgan, it was a text message. He stared at his phone, his heart racing as he read the words over and over. Standing in the bustling airport terminal, surrounded by travelers rushing to their destinations, he felt completely alone. His private jet had mechanical issues, something that had never happened before. Now he was stuck flying commercial, and thanks to an unexpected first-class upgrade, he'd been moved to a later flight. This delay would cost him the most important meeting of his career. 15 years of work, gone because of a stupid upgrade. His hands trembled as he typed a response to his business partner. How could he explain that a $50 billion deal was falling apart because he couldn't get to New York on time? Alex ran his fingers through his dark hair, the weight of the situation pressing down on him. At 42, he had built Morgan Enterprises from nothing into a global technology empire. His face regularly appeared on the covers of business magazines. His name was synonymous with success, and now everything was unraveling because of a missed flight. "Sir, I can assure you there's nothing we can do," the airline representative said, her voice steady despite Alex's growing frustration. "The upgrade was automatic because of your frequent flyer status. Your original flight was overbooked, and the system moved you to the next available first-class seat." "I don't care about first class," Alex snapped, louder than he intended. Several travelers turned to look at him. "I need to be in New York by 6 o'clock. That's," he checked his watch, "less than 4 hours from now. I understand your frustration, but the next flight doesn't leave for another 2 hours, and it's the fastest option available." Alex took a deep breath, trying to calm himself. Losing his temper wouldn't help. It never did. That was something his therapist had been trying to teach him for years. Control what you can control. Accept what you can't. "Fine," he said finally. "I'll take the later flight." The representative nodded, relief evident on her face. "Thank you for understanding, Mr. Morgan. The lounge is available for you while you wait." Alex nodded curtly and turned away, already dialing his assistant. "James, we have a problem. I'm not going to make the meeting with Nakamura. You need to stall them." He listened for a moment, then shook his head. "No, they won't reschedule. They've made that clear. Just do what you can." He ended the call and looked around the crowded terminal. Everyone seemed to know where they were going except him. For the first time in years, Alex Morgan, the man who controlled everything, had lost control. With nowhere else to go, Alex made his way to the first-class lounge. It was quieter here, at least. He found a seat by the window, away from the other travelers, and stared out at the planes taking off and landing. Each one represented someone going somewhere important. Everyone had a purpose, a destination. For 15 years, Alex had known exactly where he was going. He pulled out his laptop, determined to salvage something from this disaster. Maybe he could join the meeting virtually. But as he opened his email, a message from Nakamura's team appeared. "We expect to meet with you in person as agreed. Your physical presence is non-negotiable." Alex closed his laptop with a sigh. There was nothing he could do. The deal was slipping through his fingers, and all because of a stupid upgrade. He looked at his watch again. 1 hour and 45 minutes until his flight. He might as well get a drink. The bar in the lounge was almost empty. Alex ordered a scotch, neat, and took a seat. The bartender placed the drink in front of him with a small nod. "Rough day?" a voice asked from beside him. Alex turned to see a woman sitting 2 seats away. She had kind eyes and a smile that seemed genuine, not the fake smiles he was used to seeing in business meetings. "You could say that," he replied, taking a sip of his drink. "Missed flight?" she asked. Alex nodded. "Something like that." "Same here," she said, "though in my case it was a canceled flight, heading to New York for a conference." "New York?" Alex raised an eyebrow. That's where I'm headed to. Small world, she said, extending her hand. I'm Maya, Maya Johnson. Alex, he replied, shaking her hand. He deliberately left off his last name. Sometimes it was nice to just be Alex, not Alex Morgan, the billionaire CEO. Nice to meet you, Alex, Maya said. So, what's waiting for you in New York that's got you looking like the world is ending? Alex laughed despite himself. Is it that obvious? Well, you're on your second scotch, and you keep checking your watch like it might suddenly start running backward. Alex looked down at his glass, surprised to find it almost empty. He didn't remember finishing the first one. Important business meeting, he said finally. One I'm definitely going to miss now. Maya nodded thoughtfully. Can I offer some unsolicited advice? Alex raised an eyebrow. No one offered him advice anymore. They were all too afraid of disagreeing with the boss. Sure, why not? Sometimes the universe has a way of putting us exactly where we need to be, even if it's not where we think we should be. Alex scoffed. You believe in that kind of thing? The universe having a plan? Maya shrugged. I believe that sometimes the best things happen when our own plans fall apart. Alex thought about that for a moment. His own plans were certainly falling apart right now, but what could possibly be good about missing the deal of a lifetime? I'm not sure I can afford that kind of optimism, he said finally. Maybe that's exactly what you need, Maya replied, gathering her things. Anyway, my new flight is boarding soon. It was nice meeting you, Alex. Maybe we'll run into each other in New York. Maybe, Alex said, though he doubted it. New York was a big city, and he would be too busy dealing with the aftermath of his missed meeting to run into random strangers. As Maya walked away, Alex caught himself watching her go. There was something about Hera confidence. But then his phone buzzed with another message from James, and Maya was forgotten as Alex returned to the crisis at hand. An hour later, as Alex finally boarded his flight, he couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had just happened. He had missed a flight and had a brief conversation with a stranger. Nothing significant about that. No, the significant thing was the meeting he was missing, the deal that was slipping away. As the plane took off, Alex closed his eyes, resigned to the fact that for once in his life, he couldn't fix the problem. He couldn't control the outcome. All he could do was wait and see what happened next. Little did he know, missing that flight was about to change his life in ways he could never have imagined. The plane touched down at JFK with a jolt that matched Alex's mood. He had spent the entire flight sending emails and making calls, trying desperately to salvage something from the Nakamura deal. But it was no use. By the time he turned his phone back on after landing, he had a message from James. They've gone with Green Tech. I'm sorry, Alex. Green Tech. His biggest competitor. Alex felt a surge of anger so intense it made his hands shake. 15 years of work, down the drain because of a stupid flight upgrade. He grabbed his carry-on bag and exited the plane, barely noticing the other passengers around him. Outside, the weather matched his mood perfectly. Rain poured down in sheets, turning the New York evening into a gray blur. Alex stood under the airport overhang, waiting for his driver. But when his phone rang, it was more bad news. Mr. Morgan, I'm so sorry. His driver said, There's been a massive accident on the highway. I'm stuck in traffic about 5 miles from the airport. It's not moving at all. Alex closed his eyes, counting to 10 in his head. How long? At least an hour. Maybe more. Fine. I'll find another way to the hotel. He hung up without waiting for a response. The taxi line stretched around the corner, filled with tired travelers seeking shelter from the rain. Alex looked at his watch. It was nearly 8 p.m. He was exhausted, angry, and now apparently stranded. Need a ride? Alex turned to find Maya standing behind him. an umbrella in one hand and her phone in the other. "You again?" he said, surprised. She smiled. "Me again. My ride just canceled on me too. I was about to call a rideshare. Want to split it?" Under normal circumstances, Alex would have declined. He didn't share rides with strangers. But these weren't normal circumstances, and something about Maya's smile made him hesitate. "Sure," he heard himself say. "Why not?" 10 minutes later, they were squeezed into the back of a small car, crawling through New York traffic in the pouring rain. The driver had the radio on, playing old jazz that somehow made the rain seem less dreary. "So," Maya said, breaking the silence between them, "did you make your important meeting?" Alex shook his head. "No, it was a disaster." "I'm sorry to hear that," she said, and she sounded genuinely sorry. "Was it as bad as you feared?" "Worse," Alex admitted. "Years of work, gone. All because I missed one flight." Maya nodded thoughtfully. "That's rough. What will you do now?" It was a simple question, but Alex realized he didn't have an answer. For years, the Nakamura deal had been his focus, his obsession. He had mapped out every detail, planned for every contingency except missing his flight due to an accidental upgrade. "I don't know," he said finally. "I haven't thought that far ahead." "Well, maybe this is a chance to reset," Maya suggested, "to figure out what you really want." Alex laughed, a short, humorless sound. "What I want is to go back in time and catch that flight. Since that's not an option, maybe focus on what you can do now?" Before Alex could respond, the car lurched to a stop. The driver turned around. "Sorry, folks. Looks like there's flooding ahead. We can't go this way." Alex leaned forward. "We need to get to the Grand Hyatt." The driver shook his head. "Not happening tonight, man. That whole area is gridlocked. I can take you to a different hotel, or you can get out here and try your luck with the subway." Alex was about to argue when Maya put a hand on his arm. "There's a nice hotel just a couple blocks from here. I stayed there once for a conference. We could go there for now, and you can figure out your next move." Alex hesitated. The smart thing would be to find another car, to keep trying to get to his hotel. But he was tired. So tired of fighting against things he couldn't control. "Fine," he said. "Let's do that." The hotel Maya suggested was small but elegant, with a warm, inviting lobby that felt worlds away from the sterile luxury of the corporate hotels Alex usually stayed in. They approached the front desk together, dripping rainwater onto the polished floor. "We need 2 rooms," Alex told the clerk. The young man behind the desk typed something into his computer, then frowned. "With the weather and the flooding, we're almost at capacity." Alex sighed. "Of course, because this day couldn't get any worse." "I can find somewhere else," Maya offered. Alex looked outside at the rain, which was coming down even harder now. "No, it's fine. Take the room. I'll find somewhere else." "Don't be ridiculous," Maya said. "You're soaking wet and exhausted. Look, the room probably has 2 beds. We're both adults. We can share a room for one night without it being weird." Alex hesitated. He never shared rooms. Ever. But the thought of going back out into that rain, of fighting traffic and searching for another hotel, was exhausting. "Fine," he said finally. "But I'm paying." Maya looked like she wanted to argue but thought better of it. "Okay, thank you." The room did indeed have 2 beds, as well as a small sitting area with a couch and a table. It was comfortable without being luxurious, and most importantly, "Bathroom's all yours," Maya said, setting her bag down on one of the beds. "You look like you could use a hot shower." Alex nodded gratefully and disappeared into the bathroom. Under the hot water, he finally allowed himself to process the events of the day. The missed flight, the lost deal, and now, stranded in a hotel with a woman he barely knew. When he emerged, feeling slightly more human, Maya was sitting on the couch, her laptop open in front of her. "Feel better?" she asked, looking up. "Much," Alex admitted, sitting on the edge of his bed. "Thanks for, well, everything today." Maya smiled. "Don't thank me yet. The night is still young, and who knows what other disasters await us." Despite everything, Alex found himself smiling back. There was something refreshing about Maya's perspective, about the way she seemed to take life's challenges in stride. "I'm starving," she said suddenly. "Want to order room service?" Alex nodded. He couldn't remember the last time he'd eaten. "Sounds good." They ordered burgers and fries, and when the food arrived, they ate at the small table by the window, watching the rain pour down over New York City. "So," Maya said between bites, "what's your story, Alex? What do you do when you're not missing important meetings?" Alex hesitated. If he told her his full name, she would likely recognize it, and then the dynamic would change, as it always did when people realized who he was. But something about the easy camaraderie they had developed made him want to be honest. "I run a technology company," he said, keeping it vague. "We develop sustainable energy solutions." Maya's eyes lit up. "Really? That's incredible. I actually work in environmental policy. My conference tomorrow is about implementing green initiatives in urban communities." "Is that right?" Alex found himself genuinely interested. "What kind of initiatives?" As Maya began to explain her work, Alex found himself forgetting about the Nakamura deal, about the missed flight, about all the things that had gone wrong that day. For the first time in as long as he could remember, he was simply present, listening to someone talk about something they were passionate about. And as the night wore on, as their conversation meandered from work to personal lives to favorite books and movies, Alex realized something surprising. He was enjoying himself. Here, in this unplanned detour, with this woman he had met by chance, he felt more relaxed than he had in years. When they finally went to sleep in their separate beds, Alex's last thought before drifting off was that maybe, just maybe, Maya had been right earlier. Maybe sometimes the best things do happen when our own plans fall apart. Alex woke to sunlight streaming through the window and the distant sound of city traffic. For a moment, he was disoriented. This wasn't his usual hotel room. Then the events of the previous day came flooding back. The missed flight, the lost deal. He sat up and looked over at the other bed, but it was empty. Maya's bag was still there, though, so she hadn't left. Alex checked his phone, 7:30 a.m. 5 missed calls from James. A dozen emails marked urgent. The real world was waiting for him. The bathroom door opened, and Maya emerged, already dressed, in a simple but elegant blue dress that contrasted beautifully with her dark skin. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and she wore minimal makeup that highlighted her natural beauty. "Morning," she said with a smile. "I was trying not to wake you." "It's fine," Alex said, running a hand through his hair. "I should be up anyway. I have a lot to deal with today." Maya nodded, understanding in her eyes. The fallout from yesterday's meeting. "Something like that," Alex agreed, reaching for his phone. "I should make some calls." "Go ahead," Maya said, gathering her things. "I need to head to my conference soon anyway. It starts at 9. Alex felt a strange reluctance at the thought of Maya leaving. Their unexpected night together had been a welcome distraction from his problems. But of course, it had to end. They both had lives to return to. "Right," he said, standing up. "Your conference. About environmental policy." Maya nodded. "That's right." "Which organization do you work for?" Alex asked, suddenly curious about the details of her life that they hadn't covered the night before. "I'm the director of the Urban Green Initiative," Maya replied, a note of pride in her voice. "We work with cities to implement sustainable practices in underserved communities." Alex froze. The Urban Green Initiative. He knew that organization. In fact, his company had been in talks to. No, it couldn't be. Maya Johnson, he said slowly. You're Dr. Maya Johnson. Maya looked surprised. Yes. How did you know my title? Alex closed his eyes briefly. Of all the people to meet in an airport, of all the people to share a hotel room with, it had to be her. Dr. Maya Johnson, the renowned environmental scientist whose organization had been in negotiations with Green Tech's biggest competitor, and the company that had just stolen the Nakamura deal from him. Alex? Maya prompted, concern in her voice. Are you okay? I'm fine, he said automatically. Just connecting the dots. You're quite well known in certain circles. Maya looked slightly embarrassed. I wouldn't say that. I would, Alex said. And then, because he couldn't stand the deception any longer, I should probably tell you my full name. It's Alex Morgan. He watched as recognition dawned on her face. Alex Morgan. As in Morgan Enterprises? The same. Maya sat down heavily on her bed. Well, that's unexpected. You could say that, Alex agreed, a wry smile playing at his lips. Especially given that your organization is in talks with Green Tech, my biggest competitor. Maya's expression turned serious. How do you know about that? It's my business to know these things, Alex said with a shrug. Just like it's your business to know that Green Tech just beat me out for the Nakamura contract. The meeting I missed yesterday? That was with Nakamura Industries. Understanding dawned in Maya's eyes. And without that contract, Morgan Enterprises is in a vulnerable position, Alex admitted. Green Tech has the upper hand now, and partnering with your organization would give them even more credibility in the sustainable energy market. I see, Maya said quietly. And I'm guessing you're not thrilled about that. Not particularly, Alex admitted. Though I have to say, if I'd known who you were yesterday, our conversation would have been very different. I'm glad you didn't know, Maya said, meeting his gaze directly. Because I got to know Alex, not Alex Morgan, the CEO, and I liked him. The simple statement caught Alex off guard. When was the last time someone had seen him as just Alex? When was the last time he had allowed himself to be just Alex? For what it's worth, he said after a moment. I liked getting to know you too, Dr. Johnson. Maya, she corrected with a small smile. I think after sharing a room in our life stories, we can stick with first names. Alex nodded, returning her smile. Maya, then. There was a pause, both of them absorbing the new complexity in their unexpected connection. So, Maya said finally, what happens now? It was a good question. Under normal circumstances, they would go their separate ways. She would go to her conference, and he would deal with the fallout from the Nakamura deal. Their paths wouldn't cross again, except perhaps as business adversaries. But something about that felt wrong to Alex. Their meeting, their connection, had felt significant somehow, like it was meant to happen. And that wasn't a thought Alex Morgan typically had. I don't know, he admitted. I have to deal with the Nakamura situation, and you have your conference. Maya nodded slowly. Right. We both have responsibilities. But Alex found himself saying, maybe after your conference we could get dinner, continue our conversation? The invitation surprised them both, but Maya's smile was genuine when she replied, I'd like that. They exchanged phone numbers, and then it was time for Maya to leave. At the door, she paused and turned back to him. Alex, she said, I'm sorry about your deal, but for what it's worth, I think sometimes our biggest setbacks lead to our greatest opportunities. With that, she was gone, leaving Alex alone with his thoughts, and the realization that he had just asked Dr. Maya Johnson, potential ally to his biggest competitor, to dinner. What was he thinking? But as he showered and dressed for the day ahead, Alex couldn't help but feel that something had shifted within him. The loss of the Nakamura deal still stung, but it didn't feel like the end of the world anymore. And that, in itself, was strange. His phone rang, and he answered it without checking the caller ID. "Morgan," he said. "Alex, where have you been?" James's voice was tense. "I know," Alex said, sitting on the edge of the bed. "Nakamura went with GreenTech." "It's worse than that," James said. "GreenTech is holding a press conference this afternoon. They're announcing a major partnership with some environmental organization, the Urban Green Initiative or something like that. This is going to give them a huge advantage in the market." Alex felt a cold knot form in his stomach. Of course. That's why Maya was in New York. Not just for a conference, but to finalize a deal with GreenTech. "Alex, are you there?" "I'm here," Alex said, his mind racing. "What time is the press conference?" 3 o'clock. "But Alex, we need to talk about damage control. Without Nakamura, and with GreenTech making this move, our stock is going to take a hit." "I know," Alex said. "Get the team together. I'll be there as soon as I can." He hung up and stared at his phone for a long moment. Then, before he could talk himself out of it, he pulled up Maya's number and typed a message. "Just heard about your partnership with GreenTech." He hit send and waited, not sure what he was hoping for. A minute later, his phone buzzed with her reply. "It's not finalized yet. Just an exploratory meeting today. Dinner still on?" Alex found himself smiling despite everything. "Absolutely," he typed back. As he gathered his things and prepared to face the day, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something important was happening, that somehow, missing his flight and meeting Maya, a path he couldn't see clearly yet, but one that felt right in a way his carefully planned life had not felt in a long time. He just hoped he wasn't making the biggest mistake of his career by pursuing it. The Morgan Enterprises offices occupied the top 10 floors of a sleek skyscraper in Midtown Manhattan. On a normal day, Alex would have felt a surge of pride as he stepped into the building that bore his name. Today, he felt only a sense of unease. The executive floor was buzzing with tension when he arrived. His assistant, Sarah, met him at the elevator with a tablet in hand and a worried expression on her face. "Mr. Morgan, the board is already gathered in the conference room. James has been updating them on the situation." Alex nodded, taking the tablet from her. "Thank you, Sarah. Any other updates I should know about?" "GreenTech's stock is up 5% on rumors of their new partnership. Ours is down 3%. The press is calling for comments about the Nakamura deal, but we're holding them off for now." Alex absorbed this information with a grim expression. "And the Urban Green Initiative partnership? What do we know about that?" Sarah looked surprised at the specific question. "Not much, sir. Just that they're announcing something at 3. Our intelligence suggests it's a major collaboration on sustainable urban development. Exactly the kind of project Alex had been hoping to pursue with the Nakamura funding. He felt a twinge of something not quite jealousy, but closet the thought of Maya working with GreenTech instead of him. "Thank you, Sarah. Let's not keep the board waiting." The conference room fell silent as Alex entered. 8 pairs of eyes turned to him, each reflecting a different shade of concern or accusation. James, his COO and oldest friend, stood at the head of the table, mid-presentation. "Alex," he said, relief evident in his voice, "glad you could join us." There was no mistaking the slight edge in James's tone. "Where have you been?" was the unspoken question. "Sorry for the delay," Alex said, taking his seat at the head of the table. "The weather caused some complications." He didn't mention Maya or the shared hotel room. That was personal, and this was business. "James has been updating us on the Nakamura situation," said Eleanor Reeves, the most senior board member. Her tone was even, but her eyes were sharp. "It's unfortunate." "It is," Alex agreed. "But not the end of the world. We have other options." "Such as?" Thomas Chen, another board member, asked skeptically. "That's what we're here to discuss," Alex said. "But first, I want to understand exactly what happened with Nakamura. James? James clicked to the next slide in his presentation. It's pretty straightforward. When you didn't show, they met with GreenTech instead. Reed Harper was personally there to make their pitch. Reed Harper, CEO of GreenTech, and Alex's longtime rival. Of course he had seized the opportunity. And they signed immediately? Alex asked. James nodded. Apparently Harper had been quietly courting them for months. The news stung, but it also explained a lot. The deal had been slipping away for longer than Alex had realized. His missing the meeting had just given Nakamura the perfect excuse to go with GreenTech. I see, Alex said quietly. And the Urban Green Initiative partnership? James clicked to another slide. This is more recent. From what we can gather, GreenTech and UGI have been in talks for about a month. The partnership would give GreenTech access to UGI's community networks and environmental credibility. In return, UGI gets funding and technological support for their urban initiatives. On the screen was a photo of Dr. Maya Johnson, looking professional and confident at a recent conference. Seeing her face in this context, as a business associate of his rival, was jarring compared to the warm, open woman he had shared conversation and dinner with just hours ago. Dr. Johnson is highly respected in environmental circles, James continued. Having her endorsement would be a significant win for GreenTech, and a significant loss for us, Eleanor added. Alex stared at Maya's photo, an idea forming in his mind. It was unorthodox, potentially risky, but so was missing the biggest meeting of his career and ending up sharing a hotel room with one of the key players in his industry. What if we made a counter-offer? He said suddenly. The room fell silent again. James was the first to speak. To Nakamura? Alex, that ship has sailed. Not to Nakamura, Alex said, his eyes still on Maya's photo. There was a pause as the board processed this suggestion. The announcement is today, Thomas pointed out. If they're going public, the deal is done. Not necessarily, Alex said, thinking of Maya's text. Not finalized yet, just an exploratory meeting today. I have reason to believe the partnership isn't completely finalized. And what would we offer them? Eleanor asked, her interest clearly piqued. We just lost our biggest potential funding source. We still have resources, Alex said. And more importantly, we have a better vision for sustainable development than GreenTech does. Harper is only interested in UGI for the PR boost. We could offer a real partnership. James looked skeptical. How do you know what UGI wants? Because I spent the night talking to the woman who runs it. Alex thought, but didn't say. I've been following their work, he said instead. Their mission aligns more closely with ours than with GreenTech's. We just need to make them see that. The board exchanged glances, silent conversations happening around the table. It's worth a shot, Eleanor said finally. What's your plan, Alex? Alex glanced at his watch. It was almost noon, 3 hours until the press conference. I need to meet with Dr. Johnson before that announcement. James, can you put together a basic proposal? Something we can use as a starting point for negotiations? James nodded, already pulling out his tablet. I'll have something in an hour. Good. In the meantime, I'll try to set up a meeting with Dr. Johnson. The board meeting continued, discussing contingency plans and damage control strategies. But Alex's mind was elsewhere. He was already composing his message to Maya. When the meeting finally ended, Alex retreated to his office and pulled out his phone. He stared at Maya's contact information for a long moment before typing, "Need to speak with you professionally before your 3 p.m. meeting. Lunch?" The response came quickly. Intriguing, sure. There's a cafe near my hotel. 1 p.m.? Alex felt a surge of relief. Perfect. Send me the address. As he waited for James to prepare the proposal, Alex found himself pacing his office, thoughts racing. Was he mixing business with pleasure? Was that a mistake? Or was this exactly what he needed, someone who saw him as Alex, not just as the CEO of Morgan Enterprises? By 12:45, he had the proposal in hand and was in a car heading to meet Maya. The cafe she had chosen was small and unassuming, the kind of place that wouldn't attract much attention, perfect for a sensitive business discussion. Maya was already there when he arrived, sitting at a table in the back corner, a cup of tea in front of her. She smiled when she saw him, and despite the professional circumstances, Alex felt that same connection they had shared the night before. "This is unexpected," she said as he sat down across from her. "I know," Alex admitted, "but I heard about your announcement with Green Tech today, and I wanted to talk to you before it happened." Maya's expression turned cautious. "I see. It can be both," Alex suggested. "But yes, I have a proposal for you." He placed the folder James had prepared on the table between them. Maya looked at it but didn't reach for it. "Alex," she said softly, "you know I can't just abandon our talks with Green Tech because we spent one night talking." "I'm not asking you to," Alex said quickly. "I'm asking you to consider all your options before finalizing anything. What do you know about Reed Harper and how Green Tech operates?" Maya sat back, studying him. "I know they're your competitors. I know they just beat you out for a major contract. And I know they've made us a very generous offer." "I'm sure they have," Alex agreed. "But what's the long-term vision? How much input will UGI have in the projects?" Maya's eyes narrowed slightly. "Those are fair questions. Questions we've been asking during our negotiations." "And the answers?" Maya hesitated. "Mixed," she admitted. "There's been some resistance to our full involvement in project development." Alex nodded, unsurprised. "That's because Harper doesn't really care about sustainable urban development. He cares about the appearance of caring. The photo ops, the press releases. Once those are done, UGI will be sidelined." "And you're different?" Maya challenged, though there was a hint of curiosity in her voice. "Read the proposal," Alex said, pushing the folder toward her. "Full partnership, equal input on all projects, a seat on our board for you personally, and funding that matches whatever Green Tech has offered." Maya looked genuinely surprised. "That's substantial." "It's what you deserve," Alex said simply. "What UGI deserves. A partner who values your expertise and shares your vision." Maya picked up the folder but didn't open it. "Why now, Alex? If our work aligns so well with your company's vision, why haven't you approached us before?" It was a fair question, and one Alex hadn't fully prepared for. The truth was, before meeting Maya, UGI had been just one of many environmental organizations on his radar. Important, yes, but not a priority. "Sometimes it takes losing something to realize what's important," he said finally. "Missing that flight, missing the Nakamura meeting, it made me reevaluate a lot of things, including who Morgan Enterprises partners with and why." Maya studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, she opened the folder and began to read. Alex watched her face as she absorbed the details of the proposal, trying to gauge her reaction. "This is impressive," she said finally, looking up. "But I'm struggling to understand why Morgan Enterprises suddenly wants to work with us now, after we've been approaching larger companies like yours for years." Alex leaned forward, his gaze steady. "The honest answer? I didn't see the full value before. Sometimes we get so caught up in chasing the next big deal that we miss the partnerships that could truly make a difference." He paused. "Meeting you, hearing your passion for your work, it changed my perspective." Maya closed the folder, her expression thoughtful. "That's very flattering, Alex. But I can't make business decisions based on personal connections, no matter how unexpected they might be." "I'm not asking you to," Alex said quickly. "I'm asking you to make the best decision for UGI and the communities you serve. Compare our proposal to Green Tech's. Talk to your team. If you still think green tech is the better partner, I'll respect that. Maya checked her watch. I have to be at the press conference in an hour. There's not much time. Then take the proposal with you. Read it on the way. All I'm asking is that you consider it before making your announcement. Maya hesitated, then nodded. I'll read it carefully. But I can't promise anything, Alex. We've been working toward this partnership with green tech for weeks. I understand, Alex said, even as he felt a twinge of disappointment. And our dinner tonight? A small smile appeared on Maya's face. That depends on how the afternoon goes, doesn't it? As they parted ways outside the cafe, Alex fought the urge to say more, to convince her that Morgan Enterprises that he was the right choice. But he knew that pushing too hard would only backfire. Maya was too smart, too independent to be pressured into a decision. All he could do now was wait. The press conference was set to take place at the Hilton in Midtown. Alex had debated whether to attend in person, but ultimately decided against it. His presence might put additional pressure on Maya, and besides, he could watch the live stream from his office. The executive team gathered in the conference room, all eyes on the large screen at the front of the room. James stood beside Alex, his expression grim. "Do you really think she'll change her mind?" he asked quietly. Alex shrugged. "I don't know, but I had to try." The live stream began, showing a small stage with the Green Tech and Urban Green Initiative logos side by side on a banner behind the podium. Reed Harper was already there, his trademark confident smile in place, as he chatted with some of the assembled journalists. "Harper looks pretty sure of himself," Thomas Chen commented. "He always does," Alex replied, his eyes scanning the screen for any sign of Maya. A moment later, she appeared, walking onto the stage, with the same calm confidence he had observed in her from the beginning. She was wearing the same blue dress from that morning, looking every bit the accomplished professional she was. Harper greeted her with a handshake that lasted a bit too long, his smile a bit too practiced. "Ladies and gentlemen," an announcer said, "thank you for joining us. We're here today for a special announcement from Green Tech Industries and the Urban Green Initiative." The camera panned across the assembled press, then back to the stage where Harper was approaching the podium. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "Today marks an exciting new chapter for Green Tech Industries. Our mission has always been to develop cutting-edge sustainable technology, but we recognize that technology alone can't solve our environmental challenges. We need partners who understand the human element, who have boots on the ground in the communities most affected by environmental issues." Harper gestured toward Maya. "That's why we're thrilled to announce our new collaboration with the Urban Green Initiative, led by the brilliant Dr. Maya Johnson." Maya stepped forward, taking her place beside Harper. She smiled at the crowd, but Alex noticed that the smile didn't quite reach her eyes. "Dr. Johnson," Harper continued, "would you like to say a few words about this partnership?" Maya nodded and moved to the microphone. "Thank you, Reed, and thank you all for being here today. The Urban Green Initiative has spent the past decade working directly with underserved urban communities, helping them implement sustainable practices and advocate for environmental justice." She paused, and Alex found himself holding his breath. Her next words could determine the future of both their organizations and, perhaps, their personal relationship as well. "Our partnership with Green Tech Industries represents an opportunity to expand that work," Maya continued, "to reach more communities, to implement more innovative solutions." Harper was nodding enthusiastically beside her, already reaching for the microphone as if to take over. But Maya wasn't finished. "However," she said, her voice steady, "after careful consideration and consultation with my team, I've come to believe that this partnership, as currently structured, would not serve the best interests of the communities we represent." A murmur ran through the crowd. Harper's smile froze, his hands suspended in midair. "Did she just?" James whispered. "Shh!" Alex hushed him, leaning forward in his chair. "The Urban Green Initiative remains committed to finding the right corporate partner," Maya continued, seemingly unfazed by the reaction her words had caused. "One who shares not just our goals, but our values and our commitment to community leadership in environmental initiatives." Harper had recovered enough to step forward, one hand on Maya's shoulder as he leaned into the microphone. "What Dr. Johnson means is that we're still finalizing the details of our agreement," he said with a forced laugh. "These things take time to get just right, don't they, Maya?" Maya's smile remained polite but firm. "Indeed they do, Reed. Which is why the Urban Green Initiative will be taking some additional time to explore all our options before making any announcements." With that bombshell dropped, she stepped back from the podium. Harper quickly moved to take control of the situation, launching into what sounded like a pre-prepared speech about GreenTech's various initiatives. But the damage was done. The press was already buzzing, and several journalists were raising their hands with questions. In the Morgan Enterprises conference room, there was stunned silence. "She didn't go through with it," Eleanor said finally, a note of admiration in her voice. "No, she didn't," Alex agreed, unable to keep a smile from spreading across his face. James turned to him, eyebrows raised. "Alex, what exactly did you say to her at lunch?" "I just told her the truth," Alex replied, his eyes still on the screen where Maya was now fielding questions with remarkable poise, and gave her an alternative. "Well," James said with a low whistle, "whatever you did, it worked. She just burned Reed Harper on live television. He's going to be furious." "Yes, he is," Alex agreed, already reaching for his phone. "And we need to be ready to move when the dust settles." As the press conference devolved into barely controlled chaos, Alex typed a quick message to Maya. "Quite an announcement. Dinner still on?" He waited, watching as Maya discreetly checked her phone on stage. A moment later, his phone buzzed with her reply. "Definitely. I think we have a lot to discuss. 7 p.m.? Alex smiled. "Looking forward to it," he typed back. As he put his phone away, Alex caught James watching him with a curious expression. "Something personal, Alex?" Alex hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but it's complicated." James studied him for a moment, then clapped him on the shoulder. "Good. It's about time something in your life was complicated in an interesting way. You've been all business for too long." Alex couldn't argue with that. Since founding Morgan Enterprises 15 years ago, he had put his personal life on hold, focusing solely on building his company. There had been relationships, of course, but they had always taken a back seat to his business ambitions. Meeting Mayathi accidental upgrade. The missed flight, the shared hotel room had disrupted that pattern in unexpected ways. And for the first time in years, Alex was embracing the disruption rather than fighting against it. As the team dispersed, returning to their offices to prepare for what would likely be a tumultuous few days in the wake of Maya's announcement, Alex remained in the conference room, watching as she gracefully navigated the press's questions. Her poise, her integrity, her quiet confidence, all the qualities that had impressed him during their conversations, were on full display now. And it occurred to Alex that perhaps missing that flight had been the best thing that could have happened to him, both professionally and personally. Now, he just had to figure out how to navigate these new, uncharted waters where business and pleasure were becoming increasingly intertwined, and where the stakes felt higher than any business deal he had ever pursued. Alex chose a small, intimate restaurant in the West Village for their dinner. It was well away from the Midtown business district, reducing the chances of running into anyone from either of their professional circles. After the events of the press conference, they both needed space to talk without the weight of industry eyes upon them. He arrived early, securing a quiet table in the back corner, and found himself oddly nervous as he waited. This wasn't like the countless business dinners he'd had over the years. It wasn't even like the few dates he'd managed to squeeze in between meetings and international flights. This was different, complicated, as James had said. When Maya arrived, Alex stood to greet her. She had changed from the blue dress into a simple black one, with a colorful scarf draped around her shoulders. Her hair was down now, falling in soft curls around her face, and Alex was struck again by how naturally beautiful she was. "You look lovely," he said as she sat down across from him. "Thank you," she replied with a small smile. "It's been quite a day. I needed to feel like myself again, not Dr. Johnson the professional." "I can understand that," Alex said. "Though I have to say, Dr. Johnson the professional was quite impressive at that press conference today." Maya laughed softly. Was she? Or was she just burning bridges in spectacular fashion? "Both, maybe," Alex admitted. "Reed Harper is not known for taking public rejection well." Maya sighed. "I know. My phone has been ringing non-stop since I left the stage. His team, my board, the press, everyone wants to know what happened." "And what are you telling them?" "The truth," Maya said simply. "That after careful consideration, I didn't believe the partnership as structured was in the best interest of UGI and the communities we serve." "And our proposal?" Alex asked carefully. "Did that influence your decision?" Maya took a sip of water before answering. "It did. Your offer addressed many of the concerns I had about the green tech partnership. It showed that you'd actually thought about what UGI needs, not just what your company needs." Alex felt a surge of satisfaction at her words, but he knew there was more to it than that. "And the fact that we'd met, that we'd talked, did that play a role?" Maya met his gaze directly. "I'd be lying if I said it didn't. Getting to know you as a person, understanding your values that matters. But Alex, I need you to understand something. I didn't walk away from green tech just because of our connection. I did it because it was the right decision for UGI." "I believe you," Alex said sincerely, "and I respect that. It's one of the things I admire about you, your integrity." The waiter arrived then, and they paused their conversation to order dinner and a bottle of wine. When they were alone again, Maya leaned forward slightly. "So where do we go from here, Alex? Professionally and—" she hesitated. "Otherwise?" It was a direct question, and Alex appreciated her straightforwardness. "Professionally, I believe our companies would benefit from a partnership. We can negotiate the details, involve your team and mine, make sure it's a true collaboration." Maya nodded. "And otherwise?" Alex took a deep breath. This was the complicated part. "Otherwise, I'd like to get to know you better, Maya. I enjoy your company. I value your perspective. And yes, I'm attracted to you. But I also recognize that mixing business and personal relationships can be tricky. Especially when those relationships are just beginning," Maya added. "Exactly," Alex agreed. "So perhaps we need some ground rules." Maya raised an eyebrow, a hint of amusement in her expression. "Always the CEO, aren't you? Structuring everything neatly." Alex laughed, acknowledging the truth in her observation. "Fair point. But in this case, I think some clarity might help us navigate these waters." "All right," Maya said, leaning back in her chair. "What did you have in mind?" "For one, transparency," Alex suggested. "We're open with our respective teams about our personal connection, but we make it clear that business decisions will be made based on merit, not personal feelings." "Agreed," Maya said with a nod. "And we should probably keep our personal interactions separate from our professional ones as much as possible. Different settings, different contexts. Like this dinner," Alex said, gesturing to the intimate restaurant around them. "Exactly," Maya agreed. "And we take things slowly, both professionally and personally. No rushing into anything on either front." Alex felt a tension he hadn't realized he was carrying ease slightly. "I think those are reasonable guidelines." The waiter returned with their wine. pouring a sample for Alex to taste. He did so absently, his mind still on the conversation. When he nodded his approval, the waiter filled both their glasses and left them alone again. Maya raised her glass slightly. "To unexpected connections," she said, her eyes meeting his over the rim. "And to new beginnings," Alex added, touching his glass to hers. As they drank, a comfortable silence fell between them. It was broken when Maya spoke again, her tone lighter now. "So, Alex Morgan, when you're not running a multi-billion-dollar company or missing flights, what do you do for fun?" The question caught Alex off guard. Fun? When was the last time he had done anything purely for enjoyment? "I sail," he said finally. "Or I used to. I have a boat docked in Connecticut, but I haven't taken it out in over a year." "Why not?" Maya asked. Alex shrugged. "No time. Always something more important to do." "More important than living your life?" Maya challenged gently. The question hit harder than he expected. Was that what he had been doing? Postponing living in pursuit of success? "What about you?" he asked, deflecting the uncomfortable realization. "What does Dr. Maya Johnson do when she's not revolutionizing urban environmental policy?" Maya smiled. "I dance. African dance, specifically. My mother is from Ghana, and she made sure I stayed connected to that part of my heritage." Alex tried to picture Maya dancing, her body moving freely, her face alight with joy, and found the image both surprising and fitting. "I'd like to see that sometime," he said before he could stop himself. "Maybe you will," Maya replied, a teasing note in her voice. "If you play your cards right." Their dinner arrived, and the conversation flowed easily from there. They talked about books they'd read, places they'd traveled, childhood memories, all the normal getting-to-know-you topics that had been bypassed in their sudden, intense connection over the past 2 days. And as they talked, Alex found himself relaxing in a way he rarely did. With Maya, there was no need to maintain the facade of the successful CEO, always in control, always with a plan. She had seen him at a vulnerable moment, stranded and frustrated after missing his flight, and she had still found him interesting. When dinner was over, neither of them seemed eager to end the evening. They walked for a while through the quiet streets of the village, the cool night air a pleasant contrast to the warmth of the wine and conversation. "I should get back to my hotel," Maya said finally. "I have meetings with my board tomorrow morning. They'll want a full explanation of what happened today, and we'll need to discuss our next steps." "Including our proposal?" Alex asked. Maya nodded. "Including your proposal, yes. But Alex, no promises. We'll evaluate it on its merits, just like we did with Green Tech's offer." "I wouldn't expect anything less," Alex assured her. "And I'll make sure my team understands that as well." They reached the corner where they would need to part ways, Maya to her hotel, Alex to his apartment not far away. "I've enjoyed tonight," Maya said, turning to face him. "Despite the professional complications, I'm glad we met, Alex." "So am I," Alex said softly. And then, because it felt right, it was a gentle kiss, brief but filled with promise. And when he pulled back, Maya's eyes were bright in the glow of the streetlights. "Good night, Alex," she said, her voice slightly hushed. "Good night, Maya," he replied. "I'll call you tomorrow." As he watched her walk away, Alex felt a strange mix of emotions: anticipation, uncertainty, and a kind of lightness he hadn't experienced in years. Whatever happened next, whether with their potential business partnership or their personal relationship, he knew one thing for certain. Missing that flight had changed his life in ways he was only beginning to understand. And for once, not being in control didn't feel like a disaster. It felt like an adventure. The news spread quickly through the business world. Dr. Maya Johnson and the Urban Green Initiative had publicly backed out of their anticipated partnership with Green Tech Industries. Speculation was rampant that there'd been a last-minute disagreement, Had another company made a better offer? Was it all a negotiation tactic to get better terms from Green Tech? Alex watched the coverage with amusement as he prepared for his day. The business press was doing what it did best, creating drama from limited information. None of the reports mentioned Morgan Enterprises, and none of them hinted at the personal connection that had developed between himself and Maya. So far, their private business remained private. His phone rang as he was making coffee. It was James. "Have you seen the Business Daily article?" James asked without preamble. "Good morning to you too," Alex replied. "And no, I haven't had a chance to read the news yet." "You might want to." Reed Harper gave an interview. He's suggesting that UGI acted in bad faith, that they used Green Tech to elevate their profile before backing out. Alex felt a surge of anger. That's ridiculous. Maya Dr. Johnson has more integrity than Harper could ever understand. There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Then James said, "So it's Maya now, is it?" Alex closed his eyes briefly. "Yes, it's Maya." "As colleagues discussing a potential business partnership, I assumed," James said carefully. "But it sounds like there might be more to it than that." Alex sighed. He had planned to be transparent with his team, as he and Maya had agreed, but he hadn't expected to have this conversation quite so soon. "It's complicated, James. We met by chance at the airport when my flight was delayed. We ended up talking, connecting. Then I found out who she was." "And you still pursued a personal relationship, knowing she was in talks with our biggest competitor?" James's tone wasn't accusatory exactly, but there was definite concern there. "I pursued a business opportunity with someone I believed would be a good partner for Morgan Enterprises," Alex corrected. "The personal connection, that's developing separately." "But it is developing," James pressed. "Yes," Alex admitted. "It is." James was silent for a moment, processing this information. Finally he said, "Alex, you know I support you in all things, but this could get messy. The board is going to have questions. Harper is going to cry foul if he finds out. We need to be prepared." "I know," Alex said, "and we will be. But James, this is important to me. Both the partnership with UGI and whatever is happening with Maya personally." "I understand," James said, his voice softening slightly. "Just be careful, all right? It's been a long time since I've seen you invest personally in something or someone. I don't want to see you get hurt." "I appreciate the concern," Alex said sincerely, "but I'm a big boy. I can handle it." After hanging up, Alex finished his coffee and headed to the office, his mind racing with thoughts of Maya, the potential partnership, and the complications that lay ahead. He had barely settled at his desk when Sarah appeared in his doorway. "Mr. Morgan, Dr. Johnson is on line 1. She says it's urgent." Alex felt a flutter of concern as he picked up the phone. "Maya? What's wrong? Have you seen the Business Daily article?" Maya asked, her voice tight. "Not yet, but James just called about it. Harper's making accusations?" "Yes, and it's getting ugly. He's implying that UGI was never serious about the partnership, that we used Green Tech for publicity. Some of our donors are getting nervous." Alex gripped the phone tighter. "I'm sorry, Maya. This is exactly the kind of childish retaliation I would expect from Harper." "It's not just that," Maya continued. "Someone tipped off a reporter about us, about our connection. I just got a call asking for comment on our personal relationship and whether it influenced UGI's decision to back out of the Green Tech deal." Alex felt a cold knot form in his stomach. "What did you tell them?" "Nothing for now. But Alex, this is going to come out, and when it does, it's going to make everything more complicated." "We knew transparency was important," Alex said, trying to sound calmer than he felt. "We just didn't expect it to be forced on us quite so soon." "No, we didn't," Maya agreed. "So what do we do now?" Alex thought for a moment. "We control the narrative. We be honest about our connection. but make it clear that all business decisions are being made based on what's best for our respective organizations. We emphasized that our personal relationship began before we knew of each other's professional identities. That's all true, Maya said, sounding slightly relieved. But it still leaves us vulnerable to speculation and gossip. People will always talk, Maya. What matters is that we know the truth, and that we conduct ourselves with integrity going forward. There was a pause, and then Maya said, I've called an emergency board meeting for this afternoon. I need to brief them on the situation before they read about it in the press. That's wise, Alex agreed. I'll do the same with my executive team. And our dinner tonight? Maya asked, her voice softer now. Alex smiled despite the situation. Still on, as far as I'm concerned. Unless you'd rather not be seen in public together right now? No, Maya said firmly. I won't hide or act like we've done something wrong. We're two adults who met under unusual circumstances and connected. There's nothing scandalous about that. I agree, Alex said, his admiration for her growing. So, I'll see you tonight. And Maya, we'll get through this. I know we will, she replied. Talk to you later, Alex. After hanging up, Alex sat for a moment, absorbing the new development. So much for taking things slowly and keeping their personal and professional lives separate. The world had other plans. The day passed in a blur of meetings and phone calls. Alex briefed his executive team on the situation with Maya and UGI, being candid about both the potential business partnership and his personal connection with Maya. To their credit, the team took the news professionally, though Alex could tell they had concerns about the potential complications. By the time evening arrived, Alex was mentally exhausted, but still looking forward to seeing Maya. They had agreed to meet at a small Italian restaurant in Tribeca, another quiet spot away from the usual business haunts. Maya was already there when he arrived, looking elegant but tired in a simple black dress. She stood to greet him, and they shared a brief embrace before sitting down. How did your board meeting go? Alex asked once they were settled. Maya sighed. About as well as could be expected. They're concerned, of course. About the optics, about Harper's accusations, about the potential impact on our fundraising. But they also acknowledge that the green tech deal wasn't ideal for us. And us? Our connection? That was trickier, Maya admitted. Some board members were worried that I'd let personal feelings cloud my professional judgment. Others were more understanding, especially once I explained the timeline of events. And your proposal? Did you discuss it with them? Maya nodded. We did. They were impressed with the terms, particularly the board seat and the equal input on project development. But they want more time to review it. And they want to meet with your team directly. That's reasonable, Alex said. I'd expect nothing less from a well-run organization. What about your team? Maya asked. How did they take the news? Professionally, Alex said, they have concerns similar to your board, but they trust my judgment, and they can see the strategic value in partnering with UGI. They paused as the waiter arrived to take their orders. When they were alone again, Maya leaned forward slightly. Alex, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. The seriousness in her tone caught his attention. Of course. If we hadn't met the way we did, if we hadn't connected personally, would you have made that offer to UGI? It was a fair question, and one Alex had been asking himself. He considered his answer carefully. Honestly? Probably not. At least, not with the same terms. We've been focused on big technological solutions, big corporate partnerships. The kind of community-based work UGI does would have seemed important but secondary to our main mission. Maya nodded, accepting his honesty. And now? Now I see that it's not secondary at all. It's essential. Meeting you, hearing your perspective, it changed how I think about environmental solutions. Technology alone isn't enough. We need the human element, the community engagement, the grassroots approach that UGI excels at. Maya studied him, searching his face for sincerity. And if our personal relationship doesn't work out? If we decide we're better as business partners than whatever else we might be? The offer stands, Alex said firmly. Because it's the right thing for both our organizations, regardless of our personal feelings. I won't lie and say meeting you didn't influence my thinking. It did, profoundly. But the business case for partnership is solid on its own merits. Maya's expression softened. Thank you for being honest. It's important to me that we build both our professional and personal relationships on truth. I want that too, Alex said, reaching across the table to take her hand. No games, no corporate maneuvering. Just two people and two organizations trying to do something meaningful together. As they finished their dinner, Alex felt a growing certainty that despite the complications, despite the scrutiny they would face, this unexpected connection with Maya was worth fighting for. Both professionally and personally, she challenged him, inspired him, made him see the world differently. And after years of focusing solely on business success, Alex was ready for a different kind of growth, the kind that came from opening yourself to another person, to new ideas, to a new way of living. As they left the restaurant, walking close but not quite touching, Alex found himself thinking about his boat, sitting unused in a Connecticut marina. Maybe it was time to take it out again. Maybe it was time to remember what it felt like to set sail without knowing exactly where you would end up. And maybe, just maybe, it was time to invite someone along for the journey. The story broke the next morning. Billionaire CEO and environmental leader's secret relationship, business or pleasure. The headline was splashed across the business section of a major newspaper, accompanied by a photo of Alex and Maya leaving the restaurant the night before, walking close together. Alex saw it as he was getting ready for work, his phone buzzing constantly with messages from James, Sarah, and various board members. The article was careful to phrase things as questions rather than statements. Did personal feelings influence the collapse of the green tech UGI deal? Is Morgan Enterprises using romance to secure a business advantage? But the implications were clear. He called Maya immediately. Have you seen it? I have, she replied, her voice steady despite the situation. It's not great, but it's not unexpected either. How are you holding up? I'm fine, Alex. This isn't my first media controversy. When you work in environmental justice, you make enemies. I'm more concerned about UGI and the potential impact on our mission. And us? Alex asked, a note of vulnerability creeping into his voice. Our personal relationship? There was a pause, and then Maya said softly, That matters to me too, Alex. But we need to be smart about how we handle this, together. The word together sent a warm feeling through Alex's chest, despite the circumstances. Together, he agreed. So what's our plan? Well, I have a crazy idea, Maya said, a hint of mischief in her voice now. But you might not like it. Try me, Alex challenged. What if we stopped hiding? What if we held a joint press conference? UGI and Morgan Enterprises announced our intention to explore a strategic partnership. We acknowledge our personal connection, explain the timeline honestly, and make it clear that any business agreements will be subject to full board approval from both organizations. That's actually brilliant, Alex said, impressed. Take control of the narrative instead of letting others define it for us. Exactly, Maya agreed. Transparency is our best defense. We've done nothing wrong, Alex. Unusual circumstances brought us together, but all our actions since then have been ethical and above board. Let's do it, Alex decided. Today, if possible. The sooner we address this, the less power the rumors have. Maya's relief was audible. I was hoping you'd say that. I'll talk to my communications team and board. I'll make it happen, Alex promised. The rest of the morning was a flurry of activity. Alex briefed his board members individually, preparing them for the joint announcement. Most were supportive, though concerned about potential fallout. A few were openly skeptical about mixing business with pleasure, but Alex stood firm in his conviction that both the potential partnership with UGI and his personal relationship with Maya were worth pursuing. James acted as a buffer, handling the logistics of the press conference while Alex prepared his remarks. They chose the Morgan Enterprises headquarters as the venue, a symbolic gesture that signaled the company's serious interest in partnering with UGI. At 2 o'clock, just 4 hours after the story broke, Alex stood in the lobby of his building, waiting for Maya to arrive. When she did, accompanied by 2 members of her board, he was struck again by her composure, her quiet confidence in the face of adversity. "Ready for this?" he asked, as they rode the elevator to the conference room. Maya smiled, reaching out to squeeze his hand briefly. "Ready? You?" "As long as we're facing it together," Alex replied, returning the pressure of her fingers before letting go. The conference room was packed with journalists, cameras, and recording devices. Alex recognized reporters from all the major business publications, as well as several environmental journals. News of the joint press conference had spread quickly, fueling even more speculation. Alex and Maya took their places at the front of the room, flanked by members of their respective boards. The symbolism wasn't lost on the assembled press. This was a united front. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," Alex began, his voice steady and assured. "Dr. Johnson and I have called this press conference to address the rumors and speculation that have been circulating about our relationship, both personal and professional." Maya stepped forward then. "Rather than have others tell our story, we wanted to share it directly with you. 2 days ago, through a series of unusual circumstances involving a missed flight and an accidental upgrade, Alex Morgan and I met at an airport lounge. At the time, neither of us knew the other's professional identity. We were simply 2 travelers dealing with flight delays." Alex continued the narrative, explaining how they had ended up sharing a hotel room, emphasizing that it had separate beds due to the weather and transportation issues in New York. He described how they had connected as people first, before discovering their professional ties. "When we realized who we were, Dr. Johnson, the director of the Urban Green Initiative, and myself, the CEO of Morgan Enterprises, we faced a choice," Alex explained. "We could either pretend our personal connection didn't exist, or we could acknowledge it and ensure that any professional decisions were made with full transparency and proper oversight." "We chose transparency," Maya added, "which is why we're here today. Yes, UGI declined to finalize a partnership with Green Tech Industries yesterday. That decision was made based on a careful evaluation of the terms of the offer and its alignment with our mission. And yes, Morgan Enterprises has presented an alternative proposal, which is currently under review by the UGI board." "And yes," Alex said, meeting Maya's eyes briefly before turning back to the press, "Dr. Johnson and I have begun exploring a personal relationship separate from our professional interactions. We understand that this creates a complex situation, but we are committed to maintaining the highest ethical standards in both our personal and professional lives." The room erupted with questions, journalists calling out and raising their hands. Alex pointed to a reporter from the Wall Street Journal. "Mr. Morgan, how can investors be confident that this personal relationship isn't influencing business decisions that should be based solely on shareholder value?" "That's a fair question," Alex acknowledged. "Any potential partnership between Morgan Enterprises and UGI will require full board approval from both organizations. Our boards are composed of experienced professionals who have a fiduciary duty to act in the best interests of their respective organizations. They will evaluate the business case on its merits, regardless of my personal feelings." Maya selected the next question, from an environmental reporter. "Dr. Johnson, Some are suggesting that UGI used the green tech negotiations to leverage a better deal from Morgan Enterprises. How do you respond to that? UGI has always been transparent in our negotiations, Maya replied firmly. We entered into discussions with green tech in good faith. When we determined that the partnership as structured would not serve the communities we represent, we stepped back. That decision was made before any formal proposal from Morgan Enterprises was on the table. The questions continued for nearly an hour. Some pointed, some merely curious. Throughout it all, Alex and Maya maintained their composure, answering honestly while setting clear boundaries around their personal relationship. Finally, Alex raised a hand to indicate they would take one last question. He pointed to a reporter from Business Insider. Mr. Morgan, you're known for your methodical approach to business. This partnership and this relationship seem uncharacteristically spontaneous for you. Has meeting Dr. Johnson changed your approach to life and business? The question caught Alex off guard with its perceptiveness. He glanced at Maya, who gave him a small, encouraging nod. Yes, he said simply. It has. Sometimes life puts people in your path unexpectedly, and if you're wise, you pay attention. Meeting Dr. Johnson reminded me that all the success in the world means little if you're not making a real difference. And sometimes the best plans are the ones you couldn't possibly have made. With that, they concluded the press conference. As the journalists filed out, buzzing with the story they would soon be reporting, James approached Alex with a raised eyebrow. That went surprisingly well, he admitted, though I'm not sure the board will love that last answer. Sometimes the best plans are the ones you couldn't possibly have made. That's not exactly the Alex Morgan they know. Maybe it's time they got to know a different Alex Morgan, Alex replied, his eyes finding Maya across the room where she was speaking with her board members. James followed his gaze and shook his head with a bemused smile. You've got it bad, don't you? Got what bad? Alex asked, though he knew perfectly well what James meant. This isn't just some passing interest. You really care about her. Alex nodded slowly. I do. It's too soon to call it anything specific, but then I'm happy for you, James said, clapping him on the shoulder. Just remember. I know, Alex interrupted with a laugh. Be careful, take it slow. Don't let it affect business decisions. Actually, James said, his expression serious now, I was going to say, remember that some things are more important than business. If she makes you happy, really happy, don't let anything get in the way of that. Not even Morgan Enterprises. Alex stared at his friend in surprise. James had been with him since the beginning, had seen him sacrifice everything for the company. To hear him say this now was unexpected. Thank you, Alex said finally. That means a lot. Maya approached then, having finished her conversation with her board members. Well, that was quite an experience, she said, a hint of weariness in her voice despite her smile. You were amazing, Alex told her sincerely. How are your board members feeling? Cautiously optimistic, Maya replied. They were impressed by the way you handled the questions, and they appreciated the commitment to full board review of any potential partnership. It's the only way to do this right, Alex said. Both the business part and, he gestured between them, this part. James discreetly excused himself, leaving them alone in the now empty conference room. So, Maya said once they were alone, what now? Now, Alex said with a smile, we take things one day at a time. My board will meet with yours to discuss the proposal. Our respective teams will handle the negotiations, and you and I. Yes? Maya prompted, stepping closer to him. You and I will continue getting to know each other separate from all of this, Alex said, gesturing to the corporate surroundings. In fact, I had an idea about that. I'm listening, Maya said, her eyes curious. Remember I told you I have a boat? It's been sitting unused for too long. How would you feel about getting out of the city this weekend? Spend a day on the water, away from press conferences and board meetings and corporate drama? Maya's face lit up. I'd like that very much, Alex. Good, he said, relieved. Because I've already cleared my schedule for Saturday. Pretty confident I'd say yes, weren't you? Maya teased. Not confident, Alex corrected. Hopeful. And as they left the conference room together, planning their weekend escape, Alex marveled at how his life had changed in just 3 days. From the frustration of a missed flight to the discovery of a connection he hadn't even known he was missing, it was as if the universe had indeed put him exactly where he needed to be, even if it wasn't where he had planned to go. The marina in Connecticut was quiet on Saturday morning. The early October air crisp, but not cold. Alex arrived first, wanting to check the boat and prepare it for their day on the water. The serendipity named in a moment of rare whimsy years, Agawa's a 45-foot sailing yacht, elegant without being ostentatious. It had been his one true indulgence when Morgan Enterprises first became successful, a private space where he could escape the pressures of his position. Now, as he moved around the deck, checking lines and making sure everything was in order, Alex felt a familiar sense of peace returning. There was something about being on the water that reset his perspective, reminded him of what was truly important. It had been too long since he'd allowed himself this freedom. He heard footsteps on the dock and turned to see Maya approaching. She was dressed casually in jeans and a light sweater, a small backpack slung over one shoulder. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore minimal makeup. She looked relaxed, younger somehow, away from the professional setting. "Morning," she called, smiling up at him. "Permission to come aboard?" "Granted," Alex replied, reaching down to help her onto the boat. "You found it okay?" "Your directions were perfect," Maya said, looking around appreciatively. "This is beautiful, Alex. I didn't know what to expect, but wow." "Thank you," Alex said, pleased by her reaction. "She's been sadly neglected lately, but she's still seaworthy." "She?" Maya raised an eyebrow. "Maritime tradition," Alex explained with a grin. "All ships are she, even when they're owned by supposedly progressive businessmen." "I'll let it slide," Maya said, moving to the railing to look out at the water. "It's so peaceful here. Hard to believe we were in the middle of a media storm just 2 days ago." "That's why I wanted to bring you here," Alex said, joining her at the railing. "The water has a way of putting things in perspective." They spent a few minutes enjoying the morning quiet. Then Alex gave Maya a quick tour of the boat, showing her the cabin below with its small galley, seating area, and sleeping quarters. "I brought breakfast," Maya said, opening her backpack to reveal a container of fresh fruit, homemade muffins, and a thermos. "Nothing fancy, but I didn't want to come empty-handed." "It's perfect," Alex assured her. "We can eat on the water if that's okay. I'd like to take advantage of the morning breeze." Maya nodded eagerly. "I'd love that. I've never been sailing before." "Never?" Alex was surprised. "Well then, you're in for a treat. It's an entirely different way of experiencing the world." He showed her the basics of sailing: how to read the wind, adjust the sails, navigate using landmarks and charts. Maya proved to be a quick learner, asking intelligent questions and taking to the tasks with enthusiasm. As they sailed out into the Sound, the city and its complications seemed to fade away. Here, they were just a man and a woman enjoying each other's company on a beautiful autumn day. No press, no business rivals, no boards to answer to. They anchored in a quiet cove for breakfast, sitting on the deck with the sun warming their faces as they ate Maya's muffins and drank coffee from the thermos. "This is wonderful," Maya said, leaning back with a contented sigh. "I can see why you love it." "I do love it," Alex admitted. "I just forget sometimes. When you're caught up in running a company, fighting for deals, staying ahead of competitors, It's easy to forget the things that truly bring you peace. What else brings you peace, Alex Morgan? Maya asked, her tone gentle but curious. Besides sailing, I mean. Alex thought about it. It had been so long since anyone had asked him about his personal joys, his interests beyond business. Music, he said finally. I play piano not well, but well enough to enjoy it. And I love to read. History, philosophy, biographies of interesting people. Not business books? Maya teased. God, no. Alex laughed. I get enough of that at work. What about family? Maya asked. You haven't mentioned any. Alex's expression grew more somber. My parents passed away years ago. No siblings, no children. The company became my family, in a way. That sounds lonely, Maya observed, not with pity but with understanding. It can be, Alex acknowledged, but it was a choice I made. Or maybe a series of choices, each one taking me further down a path where work was everything and personal connections were. And now? Maya asked softly. Alex met her gaze. Now I'm wondering if I made the right choices, if success means what I thought it did. There was a moment of comfortable silence between them. The only sounds the gentle lapping of water against the hull and the call of seabirds overhead. What about you? Alex asked finally. You know my story now. Tell me more about yours. Maya smiled. Well, unlike you, 3 brothers, all older and all convinced they need to protect their baby sister, even though I'm 35 and have a PhD. Close family? Alex asked, envying her a little. Very. My father was a professor of environmental science, my mother a community organizer. They instilled in all of us a sense of responsibility to the world around us, especially to those with less privilege and power. They must be proud of what you've accomplished with UGI. Maya nodded. They are. Though my mother still calls every Sunday to make sure I'm eating properly and not working too hard. And are you? Working too hard, I mean? Says the billionaire CEO who hasn't taken his boat out in over a year. Maya shot back with a laugh. Touché, Alex conceded. We're quite a pair, aren't we? Both married to our work in our own ways. Maybe that's why we connected so quickly, Maya suggested. We recognized something in each other, a similar drive, a similar passion. And yet, Alex pointed out, we've built such different lives, different organizations. Different but complementary, Maya said thoughtfully. Your approach, my approach, they both have value. They both address parts of the same problem. Is that what you see in a potential partnership between Morgan Enterprises and UGI? Alex asked, curious. Complementary approaches? Partly, Maya admitted. Your technological innovation, our community engagement, your global reach, our grassroots network. Together we could create solutions that neither of us could achieve alone. I like the sound of that, Alex said, both professionally and otherwise. Maya smiled, reaching out to take his hand. So do I. They spent the rest of the day sailing, talking, and simply enjoying each other's company. Alex taught Maya how to take the helm, guiding her hands on the wheel, standing close behind her as she navigated. They swam in a sheltered bay, the water cool but invigorating. They shared lunch and stories and laughter, the hours slipping away unnoticed. As the afternoon began to fade into evening, they reluctantly turned back toward the marina. The return journey was quieter, both of them aware that their day away from reality was coming to an end. Thank you for today, Maya said as they approached the dock. It was exactly what I needed. What we both needed, Alex corrected. A reminder that there's life beyond work. He maneuvered the boat smoothly into its slip, and they worked together to secure it, moving with a synchronicity that felt natural, despite their short acquaintance. As they stood on the dock afterward, neither seemed eager to part ways. It's still early, Alex said. Would you like to get dinner somewhere around here? There's a nice restaurant just up the road." "I'd like that," Maya agreed. The restaurant was small and intimate, with a view of the water. They were seated at a quiet corner table, and as they looked at menus and sipped wine, Alex found himself thinking about how comfortable he felt with Maya. There was none of the tension or performative aspects that had characterized his few previous relationships. With Maya, he could simply be himself, not Alex Morgan, the CEO, but just Alex. "What are you thinking about?" Maya asked, catching his thoughtful expression. "How easy this is," Alex admitted. "Being with you. It should be complicated, given everything, but somehow it's not." "I know what you mean," Maya said, reaching across the table to take his hand. "When we're together like this, all the other stuff or jobs, the press, the negotiations, it all seems to fade into the background." "I wish we could make it stay there," Alex said, squeezing her hand gently. "We can't," Maya said pragmatically. "Tomorrow, we go back to being Dr. Johnson and Mr. Morgan, with responsibilities to our organizations and the people who depend on us." "But tonight?" Alex asked. Maya smiled, a warm, genuine smile that reached her eyes. "Tonight, two people who found each other through a series of unlikely events and discovered something worth exploring." And as they talked and laughed and shared a meal, Alex found himself filled with a sense of possibility he hadn't experienced in years. Perhaps it was possible to have both meaningful work and meaningful connection. Perhaps success could be redefined to include not just professional achievements, but personal fulfillment as well. Perhaps missing that flight had been the best thing that ever happened to him. 1 month later, Alex stood at the podium in the Morgan Enterprises conference room, Maya beside him, as flashbulbs popped and journalists scribbled notes. This time, however, the press conference was planned well in advance, the announcement one they were both proud to make. Today, Morgan Enterprises and the Urban Green Initiative are pleased to announce a formal partnership aimed at developing sustainable technology solutions for underserved urban communities. Alex began, his voice steady and confident. This collaboration brings together Morgan Enterprises' technological innovation with UGI's community expertise to address environmental challenges in a holistic, inclusive way. Maya stepped forward. "Our partnership will focus initially on 3 pilot projects in cities across the country, combining clean energy technology with community leadership and local job creation. Each project has been jointly developed with input from both organizations and the communities themselves." The room buzzed with questions, but this time they were about the partnership itself, the projects, the potential impact, not about the personal relationship between Alex and Maya. That story had played out in the press over the past month, moving from speculation to acceptance as they continued to demonstrate their commitment to ethical boundaries between their professional and personal lives. It hadn't been easy. Reed Harper had indeed cried foul, suggesting impropriety and even threatening legal action, though his lawyers had eventually convinced him there was no case to be made. Some board members from both organizations had expressed ongoing concerns about conflicts of interest, but Alex and Maya had navigated these challenges with transparency and integrity, bringing their respective teams together to develop a partnership that truly served both organizations' missions. And personally, that had been the easy part. Weekends on the serendipity, dinners in out-of-the-way restaurants, long conversations about everything and nothing. Each day, each shared experience, had only confirmed what they had sensed from the beginning. As the press conference concluded and the journalists filed out, Alex found Maya in conversation with James and Eleanor. The 3 of them had formed an unexpected alliance over the past month, working together to structure the partnership in a way that protected both organizations' interests. "Well done, both of you," Eleanor said as Alex joined them. "This partnership has more potential than I initially gave it credit for." Thank you, Eleanor, Maya replied with a warm smile. Your input has been invaluable in shaping the final agreement, and your patience with our corporate bureaucracy has been remarkable, James added. Most people would have run screaming after the third contract revision. Maya laughed. Oogie has its own bureaucracy. Believe me, any organization does once it reaches a certain size. Speaking of organizations, Eleanor said, turning to Alex, the board voted this morning to approve your sabbatical request. Really? Alex was genuinely surprised. The request had been a long shot 3 months away from the company to help establish the first pilot project in Detroit, and to, as he had put it in his proposal, gain first-hand experience with community-based environmental initiatives. Don't look so shocked, Eleanor chided. You've built a strong team. James can handle things while you're gone, and you'll still be involved in major decisions. Besides, the board thinks this direct involvement with the pilot project will be good for the partnership. And good for you, James added, with a knowing glance between Alex and Maya. Thank you, Alex said sincerely. Both of you. This means a lot to me. As Eleanor and James moved away to speak with other team members, Maya turned to Alex. A sabbatical? You didn't mention you were considering that. I wanted to wait until I knew if it was possible, Alex explained. But yes, I'd like to be directly involved in the Detroit project. To see how UGI works on the ground. To understand the community dynamics that make your approach so effective. And to spend more time together? Maya suggested with a raised eyebrow. That too, Alex admitted with a smile. If you'll have me in Detroit, that is. Of course, Maya said warmly. The team there would benefit enormously from your expertise, and I'll be splitting my time between there and New York, so we'll have more than just weekends, Alex finished. Time to really see if this, he gestured between them, can work long-term. Maya's expression grew serious. Is that what you want, Alex? A long-term relationship? Alex took her hand, no longer concerned about who might be watching. I think you know it is. These past few weeks have been the happiest I can remember in years, maybe ever. You challenge me, inspire me, make me laugh. You make me want to be a better man, a better leader not just for Morgan Enterprises, but for the world we're trying to create together. Maya's eyes shimmered slightly. That's quite a speech, Mr. Morgan. I mean every word, Dr. Johnson, Alex replied, his voice soft but firm. Maya squeezed his hand. Then yes, I think 3 months in Detroit sounds perfect. A chance to build something meaningful together both professionally and personally. The room had emptied now, leaving them alone with the late afternoon sun streaming through the windows, bathing the space in golden light. You know, Alex said thoughtfully, a year ago, if someone had told me that missing a flight would lead to all this a new partnership, a new perspective on my work, a new relationship, I would have said they were crazy. And now? Maya prompted. Now I'm grateful for that missed flight, for that accidental upgrade, for all the little things that had to happen exactly as they did to put us in the same place at the same time. Serendipity, Maya said with a smile. Like your boat. Exactly like my boat, Alex agreed. A happy accident that turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me. Maya stepped closer to him. You know, in Ghana, my mother's homeland, there's a saying, the path is made by walking it. It means that sometimes we don't know where we're going until we're already on our way. We make our path with each step we take. I like that, Alex said, pulling her gently into his arms. So, Dr. Johnson, shall we keep walking this path together and see where it leads? I can't think of anything I'd like more, Mr. Morgan, Maya replied, lifting her face to his. As they kissed, with the New York skyline spread out before them, Alex thought about all the plans he had made throughout his life, all the careful calculations and strategic decisions. None of them had brought him the sense of joy and purpose he felt now, standing here with Maya in his arms and the promise of a shared future stretching out before them. Sometimes, the best things in life are the ones you never planned for: the missed flights, the accidental upgrades. And as Alex held Maya close, he silently thanked the universe for putting him exactly where he needed to be, even if it wasn't where he had thought he should go. The path was indeed made by walking it. And now, after years of walking alone, focused solely on success and achievement, Alex Morgan had found someone to walk beside him. Someone who saw him for who he truly was. Someone who challenged him to be better. Someone who showed him that true success wasn't measured in deals closed or profits made, but in lives touched and differences made. Someone who, through a series of unlikely events, had become the most important person in his world. And as they left the conference room hand in hand, heading toward whatever came next in their shared journey, Alex knew with absolute certainty that the best chapters of his life were just beginning.